that we had May 25th. I want to welcome everyone here. I thank you all for coming out. Of course, the gym is not as full as it was the last time. I wish that we had a packed house today, but I do understand that the weather dictates that we might have a storm, and that will always keep us inside. We're going to start out today with prayer, and I have with me Dr. Felicia Piggott-Long, pastor at the Alpha and Omega Church on Gray Avenue. Dr. Piggott-Long.
Last name. That's correct. Thank you so much. We want to take the time to lift up our leaders. Let us pray. Dear God, during the Memorial Day weekend 2022, more than 14 mass shootings exploded around our nation and more than 60 people were injured in a span of 72 hours. 9 people were killed. And we have had all kinds of upsets in our community here in the Northeast Ward. In times like these, we need a Savior. In times like these, we need a strong deliverer, an anchor, and a balm in Gilead. During this crisis, we continue to hear calls for gun control. In times like these, we need to lift up our leaders in prayer. Your word reads, I exhort therefore that first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men, for kings, and for all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. For this is the good and acceptable in the sight of God our Savior. Father God, we honor you today as the King of Kings and as the Lord of Lords. We come today as humbly as we know how, for you are the light of the world. Without you, we can do nothing, but with you, we are more than conquerors, and we can do all things because you are with us. We pray today for government leaders and their families here in the Northeast Ward, that we be strengthened, that you give us the wisdom to make solid, sound decisions that will transform this valley of violence, hatred, and confusion into an oasis of peace and brotherhood. Your word declares, verily I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. You have given us the keys to the kingdom. Therefore we bind the spirit of murder that is marching through this land, and we loose the desire to respect life because all lives matter. We bind the spirit of hatred, and we command it to go back to the pit from which it came. We loose the spirit of unconditional love, forgiveness, and reconciliation. We look to you to give us discernment and wisdom today, to give us wise and witty inventions that will continue to bring us progress in this war against violence. In your name we pray, Heavenly Father. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Piggott-Long. At this time, before we start the meeting, I want to acknowledge any elected official that we have present today. If there are any elected officials, would you please stand to be recognized? I would like to recognize our city manager, Mr. Lee Garrity. Would you please stand to be recognized? If we have any assistant city managers, would you also stand at this time? I want to thank our marketing department at the City of Winston-Salem, which at this time is being led by Mr. Frank Elliott. Mr. Elliott, throw your hand in the air. Let's give him and his staff a round of applause. Just like last time, they pulled this together within minutes, it seems. I know it felt like it. I know it did, and I thank you. As I said, we had a meeting on May 24th to discuss the crime and gun violence plaguing the Northeast Ward, specifically in Winston-Salem. And during that meeting, we listened to our community members. We listened to you. You made suggestions about actionable strategies that we could implement that could possibly make a difference. So today, that is why we're here for this informative meeting. We want to be able to present the results of these strategies that were implemented since the last time we met. The order of the meeting that we will follow, we will begin with listening to our presenters give us the results of the implementation of the strategies, and after each organization or agency has a chance to report on those strategies that were implemented, we're going to give our community members an opportunity to speak, just like we did the last time. We just have some ground rules. When you come to the microphone, which is right here in the center, we're asking you to keep your question, your comment, your statement to 1 minute, just to respect everyone's time. We're also asking for you to only make a comment, ask a question, or speak about the data or the information shared this evening, and it should pertain to gun violence or crime in the Northeast Ward. Is that a deal? Can we agree on that? I can't hear you. Okay, thank you. So last time we listed actionable strategies, and I want to start out with an overview. You know, teachers, I had 30 years working in the school district. You always go back and review before you move forward. So let's review from the meeting that we had the last time. And I'm asking Melvin Akins, my assistant over here, throw your hand up, Melvin. How could I miss acknowledging you, my ride or die? Melvin, thank you. So as you remember, last time we had Ms. Talitha Vickers facilitate our discussion, and we're starting out with her leading off with the review from last time. And we're just having some technical difficulties. We can see Talitha, but we can't hear Talitha, so they're working on that right now.
So we want actionable items tonight that we can work on, and this is not one and done. We are not here to check a box. No. We are here to put these actionable items in front of you so that we can then circle back and hold each other accountable. Turn to your neighbor. I'm holding you accountable.
Can I jump in? We have seen drive-by shootings here committed week in and week out. And I'm going to tell you a fact. The fact is that these shootings, the overwhelming majority of these shootings are being committed by juveniles. Overwhelming. When we have endured this kind of violence, and folks, this is when school is in session. We're approaching the summer months, and there's not a person up on this panel that would disagree with me on this. We are all worried about this summer.
We live in a world where we look at things in terms of losers and winners. I'm right here burning my phone up, hoping that I don't miss game number 6 of the Miami Heat, because the reality of it is we operate on losers and winners. But in this conversation, the only losers are our children. The only losers are our children, and we must make a commitment to do everything we can to give every child a better life. The worst thing we can do, and if I didn't learn but one lesson on the bench, was that we can't treat children like adults. I'm gonna say that one more time. You get nowhere when you try to treat children like adults, because they're not adults. That's why they're in the positions that they are, and we have to nurture and take them to that point. So I close with the words of Teddy Riley. It's time to make that change, and we are the people who can do it.
I want to go back through and review our actionable strategies, because that was the goal, the end goal of tonight. So I'm going to start with those strategies that will give us immediate impact. And they are engaging in silent majority boots on the ground, utilizing Crime Stoppers and report crimes. Also, the text tip hotline, and the number was given out, and you can go on the website. Additionally, utilizing and creating more inter-community locations for police officers to do police reports and passive patrol. Also, the Police Athletic League that Chief Thompson told us about in partnership with the Anderson Center. The recreation basketball and T-ball program this summer that's free for our youth. Long-term impact strategies we talked about: Students Against Violence Everywhere, SAVE. Town hall meetings for students, including student involvement and participation. Those no-cost strategies that we came up with tonight include community involvement and accountability, parental involvement, and Youth Citizen Police Academy. Strategies that require funding. SROs in every school. The sheriff said that's what we want: elementary, middle, and high. That will require funding. One strategy that I remember that's not up there: saturation patrol. It needs to be up there. And Sheriff, would that go under strategies that require funding? Okay. Thank you so much. He was clear. So tonight, we can all say, take a picture of the screen before you walk out the door. We have some strategies. Okay, thank you so much, Melvin. So as you may recall, we did list some strategies. The first strategy that I'm going to discuss is the strategy engaging conversation with boots on the ground community organizations. At that meeting on May 25th, several boots on the ground organizations were present. They talked, we heard from them, so that does check a box. Since then, we've continued to collaborate with boots on the ground organizations. I am currently working along with Susan Fry from the Sheriff's Office with Molly's business and Greg's business. And Molly's is called Beyond Basics Enterprise, and Greg's is called Healing Ministries. Would you please stand, Molly and Greg, if you're present? They will be coming in a little later. We plan to continue to work with other organizations so that we can have an impact directly in the Northeast Ward, but there's one caveat. In order for the city to work with any boots on the ground organization, and in order for you or them to be paid, you must have a 501(c)(3) status. We've also partnered with, as I said, Susan Fry. Susan is a community consultant with the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, and she has been diligently working to bring numerous programs to the Cleveland Homes and Piedmont Homes community. And we're working together on a tutoring program that I told you we would implement the last time. So I want to ask Ms. Fry if she would tell us a little bit about what's going on at Piedmont and Cleveland. Ms. Fry?
Yes, Councilmember, am I on? Thank you, Councilmember Burke. I will also talk about your city recreation department that made this happen and the school system working together. to make this happen. This is our third week we've been working in Piedmont Homes and also Cleveland Homes with children from pre-K to the second grade. We have a structured lesson for them when they come in. We're hoping to improve their reading skills and bring them up to where they should be in their level when they go back to school. I know it's only been several weeks, but we also give them some tools to take home and work with on a daily basis. So right now we have 20 children at Piedmont Homes and also in Cleveland, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I will say it's been very successful, and the children are very eager to catch up where they've been falling down in their grades. So we're working real hard to help with that. We even had some older children come down, and we didn't want to turn them away. So we have been working with them on some math and some reading skills. So I think it's been very successful, and thank you for letting us do that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fry. It is a pleasure to work with you. She has the biggest heart, and if you have ever seen her in Piedmont, you would think she had an apartment there, the way she walks around and goes from apartment to apartment and grabbing up the kids and bringing them on into the center so that they can receive some love, attention, and support and enrichment. So thank you again. We will also continue these tutoring opportunities, these tutoring services when the school year starts. And I'm just really, really pleased to be partnering with Carver High School. And we have Carver High School's principal, Dr. Maxwell, with us right now. And I want her to come forward and tell what we're going to continue to offer to our students in the Piedmont and Cleveland community. Dr. Maxwell, let's give her a hand.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Burke, for hosting these amazing meetings and for everyone coming out to support not only the students at Carver, but our community. At the last meeting, you heard everyone discuss about the job fair that we have at Carver High School, introducing our seniors to employment opportunities. So upon them graduating from high school, they will be gainfully employed. So that is an amazing opportunity for them, and those jobs will be high-wage earning jobs with the city of Winston-Salem. We are also pleased to report that this will be an ongoing partnership with us at Carver High School, as well as some applicants that we had to apply for the Winston-Salem Fire Department. So think about that. Some of our students who just graduated, not knowing if they were going to go to post-secondary education, whether they were going to go, to the workforce. But this was a wonderful opportunity that we provided right on site for them at our school. So we're excited about that. We're also beginning to look at collaborating with having tutoring ongoing for our students in their housing developments. So if kids can't stay after school, they don't have transportation home, because sometimes even though we provide transportation for them to and from activities, families say, well, we want you here because we want you to help out with your younger sister, or we have an activity this evening. They will have those opportunities right where they live. So that makes a tremendous difference, and it supports our students lifelong. It helps increase our graduation rate. It helps increase them with their academics, and it helps them stay connected to the community and build those mentorship and partnerships. So we're super excited about that partnership, and we appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Maxwell. I want to take a minute to introduce one of my friends, Assistant Principal Dwayne Tillman from Carver High School. And we can't stop right there. We have Miss Rhonda Mays in the house, and everybody knows Rhonda is one of our favorite counselors, social workers, anything you need in the school district, Rhonda provides it. So moving right along, is Judge Hartsfield here tonight? Well, if she's not here, I'll go ahead and speak for her. We have been collaborating about her second and third year law students at Wake Forest coming to Piedmont and Cleveland, also providing tutoring in reading for elementary school students beginning this fall. So that's another great thing that's going to happen. And I want to give her a round of applause for working that out for us. As Dr. Maxwell mentioned, we did talk about a job fair at Carver the last time we met, May 25th. Well, that job fair took place, and I want to acknowledge the city. If we have anyone from the city that helped with that, I know I see Miss Childress, Tabitha Childress, would you please stand? Because she made sure that our students were aware of these job opportunities with the fire department, and we did receive several applications from the Carver students. Let's give them a round of applause. So I'm just going to pause right there and let you know what we heard on the video and what you're hearing now about strategies that have been implemented. Yes, they have been geared toward helping our youth. They have been geared toward helping our young people, because we heard the last time we met that it's our youth. It's our young people out here shooting, out here getting in trouble with guns and participating in crime. So we're going to try to cover them as much as we can and provide every opportunity that we can to keep them in a safe place where they are learning, where they are growing, and where the path is being provided for them so that they can do nothing but achieve success. Let's clap out everybody working with our young people. Another strategy that we talked about when we came together last time was providing and utilizing free and safe programming for our youth, for our students to participate in this summer. So at this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Pam Peoples-Joyner, Community Relations Officer with the Winston-Salem Police Department, to report on some of the programs initiated by the Winston-Salem Police Department. Dr. Joyner?
Thank you, Councilmember Burke. In partnership with W.R. Anderson Recreation Center, of course, Mr. William Hill Recreation and Parks, we hosted a T-ball league. We had 130 participants. It was a 7-week program. It was a huge success. We closed that out on July 21st. We had 8 teams, from the Oreos to the Dodgers to the Blues to the 44s and the Camels, and the kids really loved it. Next year, we're going to partner with the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club and Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools to increase the number from 100 to maybe 200 plus. The ages will be 5 to 12 next year. This year, the program was from 5 to 8. In partnership with the Winston-Salem Police Foundation, there was no fees for the program. We outfitted the youth, transported the youth. I don't know if McCorkle is here, but I want to thank Brian McCorkle for a wonderful partnership with that. Registration for the 2023 season will begin in February during Black History Month. We're going to have a celebration of Black History Month, as well as registration for the T-Ball League. We also partnered with the Youth Citizens Academy. We had 11 teams to participate in the Winston-Salem Police Department Youth Citizens Academy. One actually joined the Winston-Salem Police Department Explorers Program. Of course, we always use that program for the recruiting purposes as well. The next academy is April the 3rd through the 5th at the Beatty Center on Patterson Avenue. Retired Officer Morgan, if you raise your hand. If you have any youth that may want to do something during break, again, April the 3rd through the 5th. And we also, I want to acknowledge Cleopatra Solomon. We also had 172 youth last week at the National Black Theater Festival Youth Celebrity Project. Our adjudicated youth, they spoke with, yeah, that was great.
Thank you, Ms. Solomon. Throw your hand up.
They spoke with Petrie Bird and Lamont Rucker, and we all decided we're not going to do this one day. We're going to take our Man Talk national. So we're excited. We have the page. Cleopatra Solomon is working on that. So we can't let our youth just lay behind. So I want to thank Chief Penn and Sheriff Kimbrough. They were on the panel. We deemed it necessary to have local people. Leroy Richardson, he's hiding in the back, if you could raise your hand. He's the co-chairman of the Gang Steering Committee, was on that panel as well. And Councilmember Burke, I just want to add regarding programs, we talk about achieving success. When we had those young men in the room last Thursday, they said success is we want to earn some money.
Yes, yes.
And I said, okay, so what's the bottom line? We commit crimes, we have ankle monitors on, but we want to earn money.
Yes.
So I just wanted to put that out to the community, and thank you, Cleo, for your leadership. We're going to take this on a national level.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peoples-Joyner. Let's give her a round of applause. You know, when we met last time, what you just said reminded me of something that Bishop Todd Fulton told us. He said he was working the community garden on 22nd Street, and he saw 5 young men, and he asked if they wanted to help out. And he said he would pay them. And they said, how much? He said, well, I'll give each of you together, $25 to split. And they said, man, you better go ahead on. You can keep that. Do you know how much money we could make selling drugs? We don't want that. We want enough money to buy some tennis shoes. Now, I might not be telling the story in the exact way or words that he told it, but that is the essence of the story. So, Dr. Peoples-Joyner, you are right. Our kids want money. So if we can, in any opportunity that we have to connect any activities that we engaged them with, if we have the opportunity to pay them a stipend, I think that we should make every effort possible to do so. So thank you again for your presentation. Next, we'll hear from William Royston, the Director for Recreation and Parks with the City of Winston-Salem, to give us an update.
Thank you, Councilmember Burke. How's everyone doing this evening? We know here in the Recreation and Parks Department, we do recognize that not only the number of programs but and the quality of those programs, but what's also important is the access to those programs. And it's an issue that we've recognized over the years, and we've taken some very deliberate steps into correcting and filling in that gap. I'm going to go over just a few of the programs that we've implemented since the last meeting where we felt we've been able to make a very positive impact across our community. We began a project called Rec and Roll. Rec and Roll provides recreational activities to neighborhood parks that do not have structured programs. The pop-up event shares information with citizens while engaging them in fun activities. And really the purpose of this event is to eliminate the recreation leisure access barriers that many families face across our community. Rec and Roll occurs the second Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. from April through August at various parks through the city. We at the W.C. Sims Center, Sedge Garden, Polo, and immediately Davis Harris recreation centers. We had a program called Teens in Action. Teens had volunteered at 7 different local organizations throughout the summer and learned the importance of giving back to the community. Participants traveled to various locations, worked with teams to create activities for summer youth. They took part in personal development and provided hands-on service to our community, which is a first. The camp also had guest speakers from Insight, North Carolina Forsyth County Health Department, and Forsyth County Technical College, which focused on the decision-making, career development, and promoting a healthier lifestyle. At our Carl Russell Recreation Center, which is here at this location, we held a skills and drills basketball camp. Sessions offered for youth and teens. There were one night a week, but it gave the youth in the immediate community something to do in the evenings. We partnered with the Forsyth County Health Department and Men's Health. We had approximately 50 participants there at Rupert Bell, the Sims, MLK Recreation Centers. It was a 6-week program that focused on health issues. The program encouraged fellowship, mental as well as physical health. We had our typical We Play summer camps. We had approximately over 300 participants at our We Play summer camps. We had 10 recreation centers that offered summer camps for K through 5th graders. Each location provided a full day of recreation activities beginning at 7:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening. We had over 24 to 25 campers at each site. And every one of those facilities they were provided free lunches and snacks. We've partnered with the Parenting Path to create a program called PATS, which is Positive Alternatives to Tough Situations. We had approximately 300 plus families citywide, or actually countywide, that participated in this program. One of the things that, in working with, and I'll mention him a little bit later, but one of the things that we've noticed recently, working with some of the programs that Bryce Sherman has developed, is that many of these teens and kids have trouble figuring out ways to resolve conflict, and we recognize that, and so we're trying to provide additional programs so that we can help them help our teens and youth in our community with those tough decisions and figuring out nonviolent ways of solving problems. We had our Back to School Splash at Polo Park in partnership with Healthy Blue, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Winston-Salem and the Winston-Salem Fire Department. Families of school-aged children were invited to cool off at the pool, and they were provided school supplies. We've also, at the W.R. Anderson Recreation Center, successfully had a basketball season while enforcing COVID protocols, and players ranging from ages from 4 to 16 year old. And at our Haynes Hosier Community Center, we offered a program called Masterpiece with Mom. This was on Mother's Day. This was a little bit further back, but it's still important that not only, although we do recognize that the violence that's plaguing not just our city but our country are through teens, but we also believe that healthy families help reduce the amount of violent crime across the community. And so we have a number of programs where we invite families, mothers and fathers, to come out and participate in programs with their youth, with their kids, and those programs have been very, very successful. More recently, here within our recreation department, probably for the first time in a very, very long time, with the support of the city manager and city council, we've been able to create some very deliberate new positions within our department to really focus on youth and teen programs. We've hired Bryce Sherman. Bryce, if you hold your hand up, please. Bryce Sherman is our youth violence prevention manager. That is a new position that is within our department that primarily focuses on youth and teen engagement across our community, as well as providing programs for those youth and teens. But we also have a youth athletics supervisor that focuses just on school-age youth programs. And once the program, some of the newer programs that we've implemented start off kind of slow, but now I think that we, in most instances, have waiting lists for families who are wanting to bring their kids out and participate in some of these new programs that we're offering. And we do a lot. I do have to tip my hat to my assistant director, Leah Friend, who's also in the audience. Leah, would you please hold your hand up, please? She was very, very instrumental in working with the Sheriff's Department, Councilman Burke, in getting the tutoring programs off this summer. So big thank you to you. But we do a lot more in recreation other than just providing leisure activities for families. We also track crime across the city. We gather that data from the police department, from the Sheriff's Department, and we map that data. It allows us to kind of focus our programs in the areas of our city where the programs are needed the most. There's some new technology that we're using to track that. We're making some strides. We're not where we want to be yet. We do have some goals, but I think we're making some very, very positive progress. And just over the list of programs that I'll just briefly just went over now, you'll be able to see some real positive changes here in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Royston. Let's give him a round of applause. Hearing that report makes me extremely proud to be connected with the city of Winston-Salem. And I want to acknowledge all of our city staff working with Recs and Parks at this time. Would you please stand so that we can recognize you and appropriately applaud you? Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to ask our superintendent of our school district, Ms. Tricia McManus, to give us a report on the summer feeding program and the summer enrichment programs that were offered to our youth this past summer. Tricia, Ms. McManus.
That's it. Whatever you call me is perfectly fine. We're here about the kids today, right? So that's why we're all here. Thank you. I wanted to first mention something that I think it's not one of the things you mentioned. Can I go off that script for a minute, Councilwoman? Can I go off the script?
Absolutely.
All right. So, all of these programs, first of all of the partners are incredible, and all of these opportunities connect our kids to something that's going to make a difference. And it could be any one of these things, but the fact that all these things are being offered is incredible. We met with Bryce, and the future is going to be endless about so many opportunities for our students. But I want to tell you something The summer programs are great, but I want to tell you something that the district is working on that I actually think will be a game changer for our students, because to get to the point where you feel like violence is the option for you, or you feel like it starts early on through exclusionary practices that that make students feel that they're disconnected. And that starts many times in school. So I'm going to talk to you about what we're doing right now to stop that, because that, to me, is what will, over time, end decisions or have students make decisions that will lead to better outcomes for them. And it starts very early. So we have completely revamped and had been training all summer, and will be launching this fall an entirely new code of character, conduct, and support. And it is not that is, what this will do, it's going to change the culture of our system and the culture of how we are approaching students and discipline and decisions they make that children will make because their brain is not fully developed, where they're making decisions until you're about 25. And some people it takes longer, but 25. So what this code is doing, and the reason I wanted to talk about this is because it is really focused on how do we keep our students in school. In that video that you heard, what was said is it's happening during school time. And the fear was what will happen in the summer when kids are not in school. So what I heard there, it's happening during school time. So we've got to keep our kids in school. And so a 5-day suspension, a 10-day suspension, a 20 days later, a 30-day, that is when that exclusionary practice leads to decisions, well, I better be connected somewhere else because I'm not connected in school. So our focus in the school district is to move from a punitive process, an exclusionary disciplinary process, to one that is more restorative in nature. We are on a huge training spree this summer around trauma-informed practices, around how do we support students that are dealing with disciplinary issues in a way that teaches versus in a way that punishes, and you never learn from those experiences. We have social emotional learning, and I know people don't want to hear that, but I'm sorry, you're going to hear it, and this is why. Because social emotional learning is about how you teach kindness and empathy and understanding of each other and how to work together. And I know I hear people all the time that tell me that's not our job. Yes, it is, because as educators, we are teaching the whole child. We are teaching academics, and we are teaching all the other parts of it together. Because children that don't understand, are not part of a caring, creative classroom environment, find things to do to be cared for in a different way. I will tell you that we've spent the entire summer in training. We have teams planning for back to school. When our students walk into our doors on August 29th, they should feel a difference. There should be common expectations across all schools, so that in one school, it's not like you can do this and exclude a child for this many days, but over here that happened. There's a common expectation where our educators are learning how to support students, how to work with students so that you know how to de-escalate situations instead of agitating those situations. And I will tell you, like, in the long run, it is this and the connectedness in school and the learning of how to approach conflict and how to support one another that's going to lead to a better outcome down the road. And then that, plus all of these activities and programs, we are going to make a huge difference for our students. And so I wanted to pinpoint that. There were meal services during the summer as well. So we did have a feeding program in the summer. We also had summer programs, enrichment programs, and a lot of different programs that had kids in school. The reason I talk about the school year and what we're doing is because a lot of times summer programs are built or designed around who signs up and who comes. And sometimes you might be missing the mark on who might really benefit. And so what I'm going to say to all of that is, you know, in school when we have the students there, we can really control that time. We control that time. Us controlling that time there, the community agencies controlling the time outside of the school, we've got the perfect marriage happening here that can lead to results for our students. So I hope you don't mind me taking the time to talk about this, but you know, all of our schools have been giving dollars to have mentoring programs, tutorial programs, and after-school programs. And they've been given the funding to be able to have those programs happen next year, so students have an outlet after school. Students get extra tutorials if they need it. So every school has received those funds to make that happen. And the list goes on and on, but I will stop there.
You can go on for as long as you'd like, Ms. McManus, and I really do appreciate this new initiative that you all are implementing in the school district, and I love hearing about the social and emotional aspect. When I first started, we called it character education. Do y'all remember that? Character education, and we need to get back to that. We really do, and it's not one teacher's responsibility, one community member's responsibility. It is the responsibility of all of us, which brings me to this segue. We've heard about a lot of programs that have been offered this summer for our students, and we have also heard about programs that will be extended, continue on during the school year, as well as some new ones. Last time when we met, many people said, what can we do? What can we do? Gun violence, crime, is not just a problem that law enforcement is responsible for dealing with. It is an issue that all of us have to be responsible in helping with. If you know of any programs that are offered, school district, city, or other, you need to make sure that you tell every parent that you know so that they can sign their kids up. We should not offer opportunities and not fill every slot available. And when school starts, you know school is in session 180 days during the school year, and you know when school is out on those holidays. And if you see students not in school when they should be in school, you need to say something to somebody. You need to alert somebody. We need our kids in the building learning. We don't need them in the street getting in trouble. We need to work together. This is not a one-sided problem. I've said it over and over. Crime and gun violence is a multi-layered problem, and it will require multi-layered solutions in order to address this problem, and it will require all of us working together. We're going to move on to strategy 3 that was discussed during our last town hall, and that strategy was to utilize and create more locations for police patrol in the Northeast Ward, as well as increase law enforcement presence in our communities. We heard from neighbor after neighbor after neighbor asking, pleading, and begging for this. And so during that meeting, as you may recall, Sheriff Bobby Kimbrough said he would offer the SRO officers who work in our schools during the school year to work saturation patrol and collaborate with our Winston-Salem Police Department during the summer while school was out. And they work together. I want everybody to give the Winston-Salem Police Department and the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office a round of applause. They are on the front line. They are closest to the crime. They are closest to where the guns are. And we need to remember that anytime anything negative is said about our law enforcement officers. They have families, they have people who love and care about them, and they are risking their lives for us every day. At this time, I would like to hear a video. Chief Katrina Thompson is not able to join us, so we want to listen to a video that she prepared just for this meeting.
Hello, I am Winston-Salem Chief of Police, Katrina Thompson. I could not be there in person with you tonight due to a prior engagement. However, I wanted to be sure to connect with you and share the importance of creating a strategy to end gun violence in our communities. I'd like to thank Councilmember Barbara H. Burke for taking the bull by the horns and creating opportunities to construct action plans that will ultimately make our city safer. I'd like to also thank the women and men of the Winston-Salem Police Department and the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office for working tirelessly all day, every day, but especially over the last couple of months to keep our neighborhoods as safe as possible. Thank you all, members of our community, for taking a stand against gun violence. Your presence tonight and at our previous meeting proves your dedication to our community. As we all know, this is a partnership. No one person is going to end gun violence, but together we can work to make our community safer. As you will hear later, we had a significant impact this summer. During saturation patrols, we did not have any homicides in the month of July. We also implemented programs that successfully engaged our youth, such as the Winston-Salem Police Foundation's T-Ball League and the Winston-Salem Police Department's Youth Citizens Police Academy. During the forum on May 25th, several community members mentioned programs they sponsored that engaged our youth. I want everyone to have access to those programs. In the coming months, I'd like to see us as a community partner with each other to create a plan to engage our children that we can have in place for next summer. I believe it is crucial that we begin planning now for next summer. Having an idea is great, but having a plan is critical to the success of our strategy. In closing, I am proud of the steps we are taking together to reduce gun violence in Winston-Salem. I believe we can do it. We must stay the course and never give up on our vision of a safer community.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, we're going to receive updates from both law enforcement agencies regarding the impact that saturation patrol has had during the summer. But before we do that, we have 4 assistant police chiefs, and I would like to introduce each of them. First, we have Assistant Police Chief William Penn, right up here, everybody. I know we have Assistant Chief of Police Jose Gomez right here in front of me. And I'm not certain if I saw Assistant Chief of Police Mike Cardwell. Is he here? Well, let's still give him a round of applause. And at this time, I want to introduce Assistant Chief of Police Wilson Weaver, excuse me, and Chief Weave will give us a presentation on the impact that saturation patrol has had since we started. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, and of course we're honored to be here with you tonight to be able to present some of the statistics that showed some of the results of our efforts that have occurred during this initiative, which started on May 25th this year and it went through July 31st. So our gun crime reduction efforts included saturation patrols with the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, gun crime investigations that included both the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office Juvenile Intervention and Investigations Team, the WSPD Gang Unit, the WSPD Gun Crime Reduction Unit, and the WSPD Violent Firearms Investigations Team. Also, we had our WSPD Criminal Investigations Division, Special Investigations Division, Special Operations Division, and Patrol Division all involved in this initiative. Additionally, we had our federal partners from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or better known as ATF. We also had the North Carolina State Highway Patrol assisting, as well as the North Carolina Department of Public Safety, Community Corrections, or better known as Probation and Parole. They all assisted with this. So let's talk about our crimes that have occurred. As was stated by Chief of Police Thompson, 2021 there were 8 homicides. During the time period of May 25th through July 31st. In 2022, 0 homicides. Outstanding. So let's talk about discharging firearms into occupied dwellings or vehicles. That is a state statute. It's against the law for someone to discharge a firearm into a dwelling, a residence, or a vehicle. And in this case, we're talking about occupied, which means there's actually someone either in the home or someone in the vehicle. In 2021, we had 61 incidents of that. 2022, we had 74. Person shot in 2021, 32. In 2022, 33. Gun crime arrests. This includes homicides, discharging firearms into occupied dwellings or vehicles, and persons shot. In 2021, we had a total of 42, and we equaled that in 2022 at 42. So guns collected. In 2021, we had 190 total guns that were seized by the Winston-Salem Police Department. That's 156 handguns in 2021, 10 shotguns, and 24 rifles in 2021. And in 2022, we've had 200 firearms seized, which includes 160 handguns, 11 shotguns, and 29 rifles. For the years of 2018, 2019, and 2020 and 21, we've seized very close to 1,000 weapons off the streets of Winston-Salem. Now, these numbers do not include the numbers of weapons that were seized in our gun buyback operations, but these are weapons that we're seizing, and we're on track to seize close to another 1,000 in 2022. So in 2021, total gun crime incidents, we had 101. In 2022, we had a total of 107, but the thing that we want to emphasize one more time is the fact that there were no homicides during that time frame. Okay, I think that's basically just a recap of what we were talking about. Let me talk about this one a little specifically. The juvenile gun crimes that we're talking about, in which we have had a juvenile involvement which was positively identified. So it's more than just we think it was a kid down the street. When you hear that type of stuff, you don't know if they're 17 or if they're 18. And according to North Carolina state law, there is a difference where anyone under 18 is considered a juvenile, anyone above is considered an adult. And so in this time period of May 25th through July 31st, we had in 2021 3 incidents of a positively identified juvenile discharging a gun into either an occupied dwelling or a vehicle. In 2022, we had just a very slight reduction of only 2 incidents of that. Person shot, 2 in 2021, 1 in 2022. Homicide, 0 in 2021, and this is what we're talking about, juveniles as victims, none in 2021, none in 2022, during this time frame of May 25th through July 31st. Gun crime arrests involving juveniles, 2021, we had 2 positively identified juveniles and 1 in 2022. And I think that's just another recap. Those are some of the weapons that we have seized. And when we bring them in and we have to put them into our evidence management system, basically that's not only guns, but I believe that's some drugs also that we've seized. Let me also state that some of the technology that we've utilized, which is taxpayer paid for, include our Shot Spotter gunshot detection system, the National Integrated Ballistic Information System. Forsyth County has a real-time intelligence center that they call ARCTIC. WSPD has a real-time crime center that we call the RTCC. And of course, we've also had to utilize crime analysis software. I believe that's it, man.
Yes, thank you so
Sure, thank you.
Let's give Chief. Thank you so much, Chief Weave. I am extremely pleased with the data, extremely pleased. In the Northeast Ward, no homicides during the time that we implemented saturation patrol. That is very impressive to me. I told you that this would not be a one and done, that we would come back together, and what we're doing tonight is reporting with transparency the numbers. I am impressed. Let's give them another round of applause. I want us to keep in mind, when we met, we listed actionable strategies. We did not say that we would solve the problem. I want us to remember that going forward. At this time, I would like to ask the sheriff if he would come down and discuss the impact that the strategies have had since implementation, the strategy of saturation patrol specifically.
Good afternoon. I appreciate you all being here. I really think your presence and your voices are required to change the narrative, and I appreciate you for being here. What I'd like to tell you is, since we started this conversation last time here, I committed to using our juvenile intervention team, which was funding by the ARPA funding and provided by us with the commissioners. The newly formed team, along with the SROs, we spent 78 days inside of Winston-Salem working, 78 days in collaborative with the Winston-Salem Police Department. During that time, we seized 57 firearms, some of them ranging from ghost guns. During that time, that 78 days that we spent there, we seized over approximately $100,000 in illegal drugs. I could go on with numbers of juveniles, petitions that we encountered. But what was so impressive to me, what I think changed the narrative is some of the things that we initiated during that time in working with, as Ms. Fryer alluded to, some of our community outreach, Healing Hands, where we sent our JIT team to Camp Haynes with 40 young men and women from this community. To me, that was a game changer. We partnered with Healing Hands, where we sent 12 kids to Washington, D.C. in conjunction with Healing Hands to see the Black National Historic Monument. We sent those same kids to the beach. I think that Mr. Gregory from Healing Hands deserves a round of applause, and I'll tell you why. One of the things that we talked about is what our kids need in making a game changer and trying to give them resources during the summers. This man worked third shift. We gave what we could give, and he employed these young men every week to the tune of $100 per kid this entire summer. So I can tell you what we did all day and all night, but what I will tell you is that where the difference is being made at is with the resources that we're using to enhance our kids and engaging our kids. As relates to the saturation patrol, we partner with the Winston-Salem Police Department. Ms. McManus, I want to thank you because we have a contract with our SROs, and she allowed us to use those SROs in conjunction working inside the city for those 78 days. I know I'm out of script right now, but I'm excited about what's happening, and I'm probably taking over what Ms. Fryer was going to say, and I apologize for that because I'm excited about it. This upcoming school year, we have partnered again with Ms. McManus, we have partnered with the CP3 group, and we have partnered with the Flow group to where we have created a mentoring group during the whole school year with 50 kids, 4 days a week for the entire year to provide not only meals, to provide. So I'm excited about what the future holds. I think that if we continue to have these conversations, working collaboratively together, I think we can change the narrative. I know that everybody is excited and they want change now, but it doesn't happen in the microwave. No one person has all answers, but what I can tell you is that the Saturation Patrol, working with Winston, some of the federal partners that we put together this summer, made a dent. We did not have a homicide during the month of July. I can tell you that increasing our presence throughout the city, whether it was during the theater festival, whether it was during late night, working at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, made a difference. Many nights, the command staff, the chief, myself, spent time out there in the neighborhoods, getting to know people, walking through the neighborhoods, talking with people. And I think that's where the difference is made. And so I'm excited about what the future holds. I appreciate that. But I'm excited about what the future holds. And as I always say, anything that the sheriff's office can do, the office of the people, we will partner with anybody. And I apologize, Ms. Fry, I probably left out some of the things that we're doing in the community, but we have I'll let you go from there. But again, thank you all for allowing me to be present. Thank you.
About our county, but I just thank God and everyone because of the sheriff's department and the police department we have and the school system we have for this county who has an interest in making a change. And Sheriff Kimbrough, one thing about one of his responsibilities is a detention center, but one thing he strives for is to keep those people out of the detention center as much as possible. He has a department called Court Community Services, and the goal is to help people to receive employment. We help them get their birth certificate if they need it, talk about jobs that they qualify for, help them with transportation. And last year, we were successful in getting over 250 people jobs, and that made a big difference.
Yes.
And one of the other important things is, working with the parents. We have a GED program at Piedmont Homes, and I had 12 mothers who wanted to get their GED, and at Sprague Street we have about 8 people still involved getting their GED. So for a lot of those people to get a good job, to be able to get out of those areas, the education is huge. And the sheriff understands that. And also, one thing we do is go into the schools. We have adopted North Hills Elementary for about 4 years now. We go in and read with those children and help them to bring their reading level up, which is very important. Once they fall behind, they just feel like they're not worthy anymore. And we've got to work as much as we can to let these children have hope and understand they're very important to us. And my hat's off to Reverend Mack, because I know that's a big thing that he does out of his church, is help those children to read and be successful. And that's one goal for the sheriff. And I can go on and on for a lot of little things that we're doing that make big things happen. But I just want to say we're very fortunate to have a sheriff that does those type of things in our community. He does keep us safe, but he also understands to do that, we have to keep the children safe and give them something to do that's very positive. So we have a church on every corner in this county, and there's lots of things that they could do to open their doors and help these children. And I plead with those people to do so. So thank you. I'll shut up.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fry. Chief Penn would like to say a few words.
Yeah, I'd like to stay on this topic of engagement with our youth. So last Thursday, as Dr. Peoples-Joyner mentioned, Sheriff, myself, Leroy Richardson got to talk to a group of young men during the National Black Theater Festival. And while we're on the panel, one of the young men continued to not follow instructions, speaking while the panelists were talking, and came across extremely disrespectful. At some point, one of the panelists said, "Hey man, let me take you to get something to eat. Let me talk to you." The young man came back from getting something to eat, apologized, was engaged, and it was a game changer. Now, Snickers has a commercial where it shows an adult who's hungry and they're acting like a monster, and that's an adult. Think about our children who are hungry. When you're hungry, you don't make good decisions. You don't follow instructions. You don't learn. And I know the superintendent can relate. So we have to address the poverty issue with our children if we expect them to make good decisions in school and out of school. So I just wanted to say that. Also, I wanted to talk about I also wanted to circle back to the officers and playing with the kids at Rupert Bell Park. So the children got a lot out of it, but I'll tell you the officers did as well. Another part to think about, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I was told that that was the first time in over 30 years that that park was used consistently for ball. So we have to give our children different options and opportunities. And last thing I'll say is, when we think about crime prevention in our community, we think about hardening targets. We think about locking doors, putting windows down, and alarms. Crime prevention is speaking with our children and providing them with opportunities and options, so when things don't go their way, when there is conflict, there's another option besides picking up a gun and causing harm to themselves and others. So really, I really want to press upon the social aspects of it as well as the actual violent acts. That's all.
Thank you so much, Chief. I totally agree. Would anyone else like to say a word before we open the meeting up to public comments? Anyone? Any of our experts? Well, I would like to say this before we move forward. Thank you. Thank you for providing these opportunities. Thank you for implementing these strategies that we listened to our community members suggest last time, and not only did they suggest them, we said they would be actionable, and you made that happen. We have a wealth of programs in Winston-Salem. We have a wealth of resources in Winston-Salem. We have got to circle around our youth and just saturate them with these opportunities and don't let them get beyond these opportunities. We've got to cover them with the blood and cover them with love. So I want to say thank you again. So once again, I'm going to reiterate the ground rules for public comment. Please keep your comments to 1 minute. Melvin, will you have a timer on the screen? Were we able to work that out? Melvin will let me know when you start and when your 1 minute time is up. Please keep your comments to the data, crime, gun violence. This is not the time for anything else. So the microphone is right here, and anyone who would like to make a comment, you can go ahead and step to the mic, line up. If you want to ask a question, you may do so at this time. Thank you.
Just statistics and data. For 79 days, I've been filming children. I got it on my phone. For 79 days, I've been filming, 9, 10 years old, doing things. I got it on my phone. Y'all said, Miss Fry, name senior in Piedmont Circle. I'm Cleveland. My thing is, I want to ask one question about gun violence. Ma'am, you met me years ago. I was incarcerated at the age of 11. I stayed in prison for 32 years. You talking about children. You said something about emotions and psychological. You're talking about the schools. We need to start at the house. Schools do not need to be institutions to try to train our children. We don't need schools to be our parents. Apparently, parents don't know how to be parents, apparently. Apparently, they don't know how to be. I did 32 years in your institution. And I'm out here with these children. I don't know anybody, I don't know anybody that did anything in Cleveland Projects for anybody in Cleveland. I'm Cleveland Projects. I'm out there. I picked up 97 shells myself. Ask your sheriffs. I picked up 97 shells myself, and it took them 19 minutes to get there after they shot at a 3-year-old. It took them 19 minutes, but in the area I'm at, it took them 4 minutes and 26 seconds. Get your life together, man.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? And we don't have to do one at a time. If you know you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, you can be prepared after the next person. Thank you so much.
My name is David Gibson.
Can you come closer to the mic, Mr. Gibson?
I have enjoyed and listened to everything that was said. There's one place we need to start, and no one really wants to talk about it. He mentioned it. We need to start changing the mindset. If we can change the mindset that violence is not the only way, I don't know what the police department is doing. I'm not supposed to know. What are we doing to get the guns off the streets? You can't wait till I get a gun in my hand to tell me nothing. You need to stop the availability. I don't know what's being done. I know something is not enough. If you want to stop it, get rid of the guns. If I don't have a gun, I can't shoot you.
1 minute is rough for a preacher, but I'm going to do my best. Hallelujah. Panel, I just want to say, oh, I'm sorry.
Pastor Jones,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
called for you earlier.
Oh,
We're
yes.
working together over in
Yes, ma'am.
Cleveland and Piedmont. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine, and I thank you so much. And to the panel, to those I know, Ms. Fry, who, though you may not walk on water, I bet you do when no one's looking. To the great sheriff that we have, who I have the honor of being able to work with and meet, and to everyone else I don't know. I'm Reverend Gregory Jones of Healing Ministries, new here to the city about 3 years. One of the things that I love the data that I saw, one of the things that has always been in my heart as a preacher, especially a black preacher, who grew up in many of in a city like East Winston-Salem. I believe the church should be first. You know, one of my goals is that the church should be so active, the police and the sheriff get bored. You know, that's what I want to see. You know, it hurts my heart that we are elevating ourselves to bishops and apostles while we're lowering our boys into the ground. That hurts my heart as a preacher. That's why we at Healing Ministries, throughout the school year, we have tutoring every day of the week. Every single day of the week, 7 days a week,
That's your
we are
time,
ministering with
Pastor
these
Jones.
boys.
Thank you.
And I love you all, and thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. Chief Penn, let's give him a hand. Chief Penn had a response to the Mr. Gibson.
Yes, I was going to agree with you. As you saw Chief Weaver point out, the last couple of years we've seized over 1,000 firearms that were used illegally. So we're out there. We're stopping cars. We're knocking on doors. Undercover operations. We're doing what we can to get the illegal firearms and firearms that are being used illegally off the street. But it's always going to take some help. So, you know, earlier we mentioned a text-to-tip, Crime Stoppers, and other ways you can communicate with the police to get us to where those guns are being used illegally so we can do what we need to do. So we agree with you.
Chief Weed.
To that, keep in mind that there are Second Amendment rights out here. That's in our U.S. Constitution. There are more guns in the United States than there are people. More guns in the United States than there are people. And they're constantly being bought, and they're constantly being stored improperly, left in unlocked cars, and they're being bought by straw purchasers and all of these other things that are occurring. With that being the case, we are partnered with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to try and stem the national trend of these illegal firearms that are permeating our society. And so with that, we're doing everything that we can do legally to try and get these weapons off the streets so that we aren't losing people to not only homicides, but a significant number of our suicides are occurring at the hands of guns also, and we're concerned about that aspect also. So we're doing everything that we can, Mr. Gibson, that we know to do, that we can do legally to try and stem some of the flow of these weapons across our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Kevin Gary, born and raised in the city of Winston-Salem, Hatfield Gardens, went through Forsyth County school system, 30 years at the city of Winston-Salem. So I know this city and I know how it operates. And the only way we're gonna fix the problem is you gotta tackle poverty. Y'all know that's if you do that, we're done. Then all these other things that the great things that you guys are doing will make a difference. If you don't get the poverty, if raised in Hatfield Gardens, I know the mindset. By the grace of God, I was able, graduated with councilman, I was able to make it. Now I had some ups and downs, but I was able to come out. But if you don't address poverty and stop putting a price tag on these people, we're gonna be right here doing the same thing. We had free lunch during the summer when I was a kid.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Frances Bradley, and I'm representing the Boyne Park community. And I would just like to thank Miss Bird, for all your hard work. It has been such a blessing. My grandmother, I have lived there since I was 7 years old. I mean, I'm back now. But it was so terrible, the gun violence on 25th Street to 24th Street. We have been seeing such a beautiful effect, and I just want to tell you how grateful I am and thankful, and for all the public workers that's working with y'all. I mean, it just takes one person at a time, and this is coming all together, and I am most grateful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Say something so that we understand that this is the first time in the history of this county that you had saturation patrol, where you had the sheriff working inside of the city of Winston-Salem. The sheriff's office traditionally has been responsible for the county. For the county. What you're seeing now is a force multiplier of us coming into the city, helping doing saturation patrol at the request. We would love to stay here. We would love to help out. We don't answer calls in the city. We don't. When we come in to work collaboratively with our partners. And so I think we need to understand that this is the first time, and the results are outstanding with what you are seeing happening. It's never been done before. And so if you allow us to continue this, and some of the things that you're talking about, addressing the social issues, because we all know that social issues, if not addressed, become criminal issues. If you can't eat and you got to worry about poverty, that's a whole nother issue. So I thank you all for allowing us to continue to do that. Thank you. I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to hold you up.
No, you're fine.
Oh,
You're
I'm
fine.
sorry. Go ahead.
We only have a minute. You guys have 20. We only have a minute.
Well, let me just come in. I heard something very important. City Manager, Assistant City Manager Patrice Tony, stand up, throw your hand up. Thank you so much. The sheriff said, if you will allow us, we will continue with saturation patrol. I want to hear from the audience. Is that what we want? Chief Weave?
So, also, Sheriff, we appreciate the help. We thank you for all that you've done to assist us with this initiative. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I want to thank each and every one of you for the collaboration. You know the old adage, it will take a village. Let's move on. Thank you.
3 minutes. Give her 3 minutes. Can I give her some minutes? Give her 3 minutes for patience.
You can have 3
Please
minutes,
do, sir.
beautiful.
First of all, I want to thank God for allowing me to be here. And I'm going to introduce myself. I am Velma Terry. I am the mother of T.O. Terry, who was murdered last year, February 14, 2021. Okay? And I'm going to tell you how good God is. Because I was at work and the TV flashed and you came on the screen and it was like, gun violence. I need to get there. Okay? I need to get there. My son was brutally murdered. My son was shot 6 times. My son used to work at downtown CVS. My son was a pillar of the community. Okay? Okay? And now here it is, I stand before you because his murder is still unsolved. I'm advocating for my son. That's what I do. See, I done advocated, and I heard you say about Cleveland Avenue. Well, I started out in the Grove. Then I went to Piedmont Park. Then I ended up in Rolling Hills. And then I ended up in Cleveland Avenue, where I worked 20 years in the streets. Foot soldier. Okay. You're talking about doing some work with some kids and some parents. That's what we do.
I work for Guiding Institute of Developmental and Education. That's GUIDE, okay? See, we don't get on the TV and brag about what we do. We don't do that. What we do, we are the service of the Lord. And I heard the pastor talk about that. I'm a servant for the Lord. See, I'm double doing now. I'm advocating for my son, and I'm advocating for all those children that we service and parents, okay? Now I hear people talk about what they're doing in the communities. Well, I never hear guide, not unless it's at a meeting and we're being put on the schedule. I'm gonna tell you, when COVID hit, we had to go virtual. And what we did was, me and my coworkers went out with masks and we gave out hand sanitizer and other supplies. And then we recruited 500 plus children virtually to go online to keep them in school. See, this is what we do. This is what we do in the community. You go in the communities, you ask about us, and the kids will tell you. You see what I'm saying? This is what we do. This is what we do. You see what I'm saying? This is what we do, and people know what we do. So if you know what we do, why can't we get the services and the financial support that we need? I'm trying to understand that one. I'm going to say one more thing. I'm going to say one more thing, and I'm going to end. No, I'm not going to end it, but I'm going to sit down. The gun violence here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, it seemed like it's kind of like a setup. Because we had teen centers in each community, Cleveland, Piedmont, Rolling Hills, and guess what happened? They worked. But see, somebody came in and took them out and put in police stations. But see, we were being servants, and we were doing after-school tutorial. We were doing parent services. We were doing all that. So what happened? Why would you take out something that worked and put in something that didn't? I'm going to say this word, 2 words, wake up. The last one, community.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I want to say I'm so sorry for the loss. I don't think there's a greater loss that any of us can face than a child in our lives. So I'm terribly sorry for your loss. But I stand here in front of you as Terry Morazak to tell you I am a victim of gun violence. And it was 3 young people. They were 19, 17, and 16 that were convicted. I want to thank our County Sheriff's Department, the Kernersville Police, and Crime Stoppers for bringing justice to have them arrested and pay for their crimes. But I have advocated and worked hard endlessly trying to put programs together, and we had a very successful program in Kernersville that we took kids of working parents so they weren't home alone in the mornings or after school. We had a program that was with community churches and the Kernersville Police Department that gave them a place in the morning. We fed them before they went to school. When they were finished with school, they came to our center. We fed them again. We had tutors. I helped to tutor these kids. And their homework was complete and checked off and then put in their bags. So when they went home, they could have quality time with their family. I would like to see more programs like this. We also sent them home with food, so not only for them, but other family members in case they also didn't have food.
Thank you.
I just wanted to share this with you. We need more programs like this in Forsyth County. And I want you to know this just didn't happen in the city of Winston-Salem. Crime happens all through Forsyth County. This was in Kernersville, North Carolina. So it is terrible to be a victim. I know what that's like. And my heart goes to everybody that has, especially, God has spared me for a reason, and I'm here to
Thank you
go
so
to work.
much. And it is so good to know about so many citizens who are on their own operating programs that help our youth and help our community. Thank you so much. Ms. Miles.
Y'all know me, so I'm gonna be brief. I counted 30 programs, approximately 30 programs that you all listed. Thank you for the saturated patrols, the GIF program. I asked each of you, do you know where the crimes, the people that committed crimes from this area that went out into other cities, were those numbers reported anywhere? Do you understand that question?
No, I don't. Ask it again.
If people lived in this ward and committed crimes in other areas of the city, what are those numbers?
No, I don't have that
Does anybody know
information.
those numbers?
Does anyone up here, law enforcement?
We don't track it in that manner.
I'm sorry.
We do not track it in that manner.
Well, let's start. Let's start doing something different, because what we're currently doing is not working. Let's do something different. I challenge each of you, I've said this before, why don't you have a community task force in every agency where you're listening to the whole community? Have people from the community working with the sheriff's department, a community task force with the police department, a community task force with the school system, community task force with parks and recreation, so you don't have to continuously hear what we're doing tonight. Bring the citizens in and y'all listen.
Thank
That's
you,
what we
Ms.
pay y'all
Miles.
for.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I would like to say hello to everyone, and I would like to give God all the grace and his blessings. For this today, I'm gonna try to talk fast. I've worked for the sheriff department for 19 years in the jail, and when the sheriff came in, I didn't leave because of you, but I retired before you came in. And I think one of our causes in working with different population, communication is the key, and it starts in everybody's home. We come out and we say, you all need to do something. We have to do it in our house. You got to know what's going on in your house. Open these doors and stop letting your kids, because my kids are grown now, but stop letting your kids close the doors in your house that you pay the mortgage for and know what's going on. And you would be surprised, once they reach of age, the discipline that men and women want. If you show them that you love them because you tell them the difference between right and wrong, they will hold on to that for the rest of their life. And to the sheriff, I want to say thank you, and I know time, I'm finna go, but I have never seen another sheriff in my 19 years, and I'm not putting anybody down, that came with the Winston-Salem PD and made such a difference that you have made. I sat there and I watched your face. Your heart is heavy, but you are doing an excellent job because you know the Lord.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yes.
I am George Ware, and I'm running for the state senate in this district. All of you, this is the second meeting I've been to, and all of you here are speaking about the same issues that we were talking about the last time. You're here all trying to do a job, and the community, it's a partnership. And the issues that we have, in my opinion, require an opportunity for everybody to do their job and give young people an opportunity to pause. Take a pause and stop, think about what they're doing. And it's hard for them to do that with the environment that they're living in. And it really boils down to resources. You're limited by what you can do. I saw the recent police chief talking about the academy recruits and the level and the lack of participation in recruiting. The number of people that you put on the streets has a direct result of it's cause and effect the results that you give. People in the community are fearful of going out of their homes. And it really boils down to resources. You're limited by what you can do by resources. You're also limited by what your judges and what your politicians allow you to do. You need the resources. We need to elect people in office who will go to bat and fight for the resources that you need to do the job. Everybody
Thank
here,
you.
Everybody here cares.
So we know you're going to go to fight for us. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Kevin Byers. I want to say thank you to all of you for what you're doing in the community. I know you get a lot of flack from the community sometimes. But I also want to say a job has been done on us in the sense that we are waiting for a savior to save our community when we have the power to save ourselves. Like the young lady said over here, you know, it's our community, it's our home. It's the mothers and the fathers that need to take responsibility for raising their kids. And they're just here to help with the different programs and so on. But the other thing is that we can't forget the social injustices that have taken place over hundreds of years. And so other majority community, they have a head start in family structure, economic empowerment, political power, and so on and so forth. But the black community has been far behind. We just got our voting rights, what, 68? Right? Come on now. And so we're way behind the bar. And so, you know, it's going to take a village, and it's going to start with the community, but we need to do better. Once again, I thank you all. You talked about inclusion or exclusion. I would say this. It's great to have programs, this character guide and all this good stuff, but until the students see themselves in your curriculum, it's not going to happen. And so until you start teaching them about what they contributed, Pythagorean, forget Pythagorean, it was Imhotep who taught math, right? Who came up with the theory that Pythagorean from Greece came and learned from Egypt. So.
Thank you so much.
How you doing? My name is Derek Powell. A suggestion I have as far as the law enforcement component, a lot of these kids play youth sports and play sports in these particular high school and middle schools. And what it's going to take, because a lot of the coaches are just concerned about wins and losses. They're not concerned about developing these young men into leaders. And it's going to take men like you guys and people like me, but especially you guys, to come out there and pinpoint the leaders, use the SROs in the school. You got to police the kids out there to not have them in trouble. But if you know they're a leader or have leadership potential in them, tap them on their shoulder and talk to them. Talk to the coaches and get in these kids' ears, because some of these kids are out here playing sports, but then leaving, going back into these particular neighborhoods and picking up the guns or being influenced to pick up the guns. And in my opinion, that's the only way that you're gonna keep the guns out of these kids' hands. Another thing that should happen when you're out there in these schools with the SROs and everybody, pass out some flyers and talk about the programs. Tell the parents about the programs so this room won't be so empty when we continue to show up, because there's half the people in here that was in here the first time, and that's not good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think our children, and in my case, grandchildren, should spend a lot more time in the church. They should do a lot of service, a lot of praying. Every child should have a role in the church. I don't say a lot of criminals who are religious. Religion is very important in that. Of course, a robust economy, free market economy, a high quality education, low unemployment, they're all important. But religion is where we start them to be normal people.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joanne Allen. And let me just say this first of all. None of you all, none of us can stop this or even get to a point where we can make that much of a difference. And the reason why is because, first of all, 5 years ago, when we were first out here, Action for NAM, we kept saying, we've got outsiders bringing guns into our community and giving them to the children, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and just free willy, just let them do whatever they wanted to do. But guess what? Nobody listened. Nobody paid attention, because it wasn't that important, because it wasn't in your community, nor was it in your neighborhood. So it wasn't that big of a deal. So here we are 5 years later, And now look at what we're doing. We can put all the programs we want together. We can collaborate all together. But until we actually start putting good people in these positions to make policies and rules for you all, for all of us, nothing is going to change. We may do a little, and that's all we'll be able to do is just a little.
The Second Amendment rights that are given by the U.S. Constitution, and because of that, there's a very limited amount of what can be done, and you've seen that right now with the current president in trying to limit the assault rifles. The gun lobby is strong as it works nationally, and because of that, we start ending up with these weapons that are continuing to flow into our communities. People do not, in some cases, take the type of security measures that they need to take so that they can secure these weapons to keep them out of the hands of some of our kids that are out here. You'd be surprised, about every week we have someone's unlocked car broken into and a gun stolen from that vehicle. And so that's part of the way the kids are getting them, but at the same time, we do have adults that are providing guns to all of these kids out here. And in 2 separate incidents earlier this year, we had 2 11-year-olds, separate incidents, carjack people utilizing firearms. And so it's just the nature of what's going on out here. And it's not just Winston-Salem, it's all across North Carolina. All of the major cities in North Carolina are having the same issue, including some of the smaller towns in North Carolina that are having this gun violence issue, as well as spreading across our country, as you see in the news every day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jamal Womble. I only have a minute, so I'll try to be fast. It's like Assistant Chief Weaver said, you're not going to get rid of all the guns, so best advice would be to just arm yourselves and do what you can to protect your loved ones. Also, it's like Assistant Chief Penn said, it starts with poverty. You can't address the problem without addressing the solution or the root cause of the problem. You have to address poverty first, but I kind of want to talk specifics. How do you address the poverty? Somebody said, well, these kids are trying to make money. Well, has anybody talked about generational wealth? Has anybody talked about mutual funds, stocks and bonds, living wills? This is ways that through a mutual fund, you can make in 30 years about $800,000. Nothing kills a bullet like money. So when you have about $800,000 in your pocket, you're not worried about crime. You're not worried about carjacking. You're worried about making money. Stocks. You can invest stocks on a small scale. Somebody invested in Apple split. They became a millionaire. So if you're worried about your money, you're not worried about crime. You can start small. And also, coming out here and make a trade, you can earn $40,000, $50,000 being a welder, electrician, HVAC. That's one way you can do something for the kids and have them to be their own business owners.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. And I appreciate everything that you're doing, Councilmember Burke and the sheriff and the police department and all that are working to make things better. I'm not going to belabor you with a lot of discussion, but this is what I would suggest for next steps. I'm a pastor. I'm Dwight Hash, pastor of Bethlehem Missionary Baptist Church here in the city of Winston-Salem. And I'm hearing all these wonderful things that you're doing, which I say are just marvelous. Thank you. But my question then goes to, what are we going to do? I know the summer programs will be ending. What are we going to do? What programs will be in place from August to June? Because here's an issue. There are parents that we can reach in our churches and in our communities that some of you may not be able to reach, and they're calling out for help. They're frustrated, they don't know what to do, but if we have a compilation of the programs that you're talking about, we can help direct them, the parents, to the sources that will help them, to the school system in trying to change the way we deal with discipline. Thank you. I'm a retired educator. Thank you for that, because we've got to look at our children in a different perspective. But I'm going to leave this one thought with you. What we're doing is trying to push around a dead elephant in the jungle. I had a professor once pose this to the whole class. How do you get a dead elephant out the jungle? And he said, one piece at a time. So we've got a lot complex issues, but we have to take one step at a time. Give us pastors a compiled list of the programs that we can help direct our parents to go to the agencies and the places that will help them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor Hash. We're going on 8 o'clock now. If there's anyone else that would like to speak, if you can come up now. If not, we'll let Mr. I don't want to,
David
Vallada, the last word. Thank you.
Well, Sheriff Kimbrough told me to be honest. And if you guys want me to speak, I'm going to need more than a minute. I would wish 3 minutes as well, please. Can I get that?
Yes.
Thank you. A lot of you guys know my story. A lot of you guys know what I do. So I'm sorry, but I'm not here to talk to y'all. I'm going to talk to the people. Everything they've said here today about what they do is true. Bobby told me to be honest. When I call Bobby, he's there for me. He listens, he helps and assists. When I've called Superintendent Tricia, she's been there, she calls, picks up, she listens. She gave us a chance earlier this year for an embedded mentoring program, a wraparound where we can help kids in the community, in the schools, and homes, because that's where the problems and issues are at. Bryce gave me a chance this summer, bring kids out of the streets, give them a place from 9 to 3 where they can do boxing, training, conditioning, read for 30 minutes, do math for 30 minutes, played games and sports and did everything. We did a lot of different things in the community. That's great. The city's providing. They got the money. They got the resources. I applaud the city, right? But those kids that are coming out for those programs are not the shooters. Those kids that are coming out and enjoying themselves and being productive and their work, being preventive with are not the shooters. I'm looked upon a bad guy a lot of times in this community because I'm in the streets. Because that's where the shooters is at. That's where the problems is at. You want to talk about 1 month of no homicide? Me and different programmers, different organizers, we did 15 months of no shooting in the Hispanic community last year, and there was still the highest in 20 years. There was not one murder accredited to the Hispanic gangs last year for 15 months, and they knew it. We spoke to them. We let them know. The only people who stepped up was Bobby and Tricia. So why are we still here talking about violence? I was looked upon, and when I talked to the police department, and I was told that because I chose my safety, and I chose not to incriminate myself or the people in the community, that I was part of the problem, that I was part of 3 homicide investigations. because I didn't want to be up there and be the next one down there. You know, the families who were suffering. The problems are in the streets, and we know it. They got the data, they got the numbers, but we got the stories. We know the peoples because we're in the streets, we're in the communities. We know the people. So why don't you just team up with us, give us the funds, help us structure us so that we can give you a solution. We are the task force that they need. They say they got lack of police officers and lack of teachers and lack of this. They don't have lack of community. So put the money in the streets where it belongs and stop playing with us. That's the honest to God part.
Thank you. Before we end up, I want to say that the last time we had this meeting, we did add to the website, right, Ms. Tony, those programs and opportunities for our students. I heard what you said, Pastor Hash, so we're going to make a request. If you would email my office any programs and opportunities so that we can put a list of those programs together. Can someone help? Can we agree to mail to my office a list of programs and opportunities that are offered in our schools as well as in our community and at parks and recs so that we can provide that list for our churches, for our young people. And I'm going to go ahead and close, and I want to close by saying thank you to each and every one of you for coming out here tonight for what is very, very, very important and a priority in our community. I see Miss Molly came in. Molly, would you stand up because we're working together with you. Cleveland Homes, Piedmont, with the tutoring program, and your program is Beyond Basic Enterprise. Thank you for all that you're doing in our community, and it is a pleasure to work with you as well. Did I see Judge Hartsfield come in? If Judge Hartsfield is here, would you please stand? Okay, again, thank you all for coming out. I want to thank every law enforcement officer, agency, Mr. Royston from the Recs and Parks Department, Dr. Pam Peoples-Joyner from the Winston-Salem Police Department, Tricia McManus from our school district, Miss Susan Fry from the Sheriff's Office, Chief Penn, Chief Weave. Thank you all for everything. Everybody have a great night. Thank you.